All right, all right. What's going on, man? My name is Dennis Yahuah Delamar, and you are listening to Guard the House podcast, explicit true podcast. You know, we archive that, right? You know what I'm saying? Like it's made a shift. There's a shift, and we're gonna talk about that. But you read the title right, CPS, Kidnap My Children. But so we gonna dive into it. Man, this is gonna be like a multi-level, multi-episode type of joint, right? But yeah, we changed the podcast. The podcast is based off Genesis 2:15, because you know, Yahuah Elohim, Yahuah Eluah, he put Adam in the garden to do two things. He put him in the garden to work, and he put him in there to guard. And so pretty much over the last like 2-3 years, I've been, just been directed to study Genesis 1, 2, and 3, and just really just see the purpose of man, purpose of Adam, purpose as a father, purpose as a husband, purpose as a leader, all the positions that Yahuah puts you in, and to really see that verse has stood out because he put him in there to cultivate. He puts you in an environment to cultivate the things he's already given, he's already grown, and to guard it because they're precious. And you're talking about guarding, so you're talking about guarding family, you're talking about guarding gifts, you're talking about guarding all the things that he puts in our possession. So that's what really Guard the House is geared to do. It's geared to families, it's geared to leaders, it's geared to fathers, it's geared to, those particularly in the quote unquote black community, Hebrew community, and anybody else that can get something from it. To guard the precious things that you've been given, to protect it with your life, right? And then also to cultivate those things, because some things got to be worked on, some things got to be trimmed, some things got to, you got to water it here, you got to do certain things to it to make it grow in a certain time space. So that's what this podcast, Guard the House, is going to be talking about. But yeah, so all right, so let's get into it, right? So all right, so CPS kidnapped my children. But so, man, how do we start? Okay. So praise Yahuah and praise Yahusha, man. So April 2024. The video comes out, if you follow my YouTube or anything like that, the video comes out about rebirth, right? Like, I'm not expecting the video to move like it moved, right? I'm not expecting to have this domino effect in Yahusha Shem as it has, right? Because really how it started, I think I shared this before, is, this stuff started just popping up. And then I shared a Facebook post, and then people started hitting me up like, man, sharing their stories. And then it was like Yahuah was like pushing me like, no, I want you to create a video. Like, it was like, because I was reluctant at first, but it was like the Ruach just kept, pressing me, you know what I'm saying? And then, that's when, Brit Yah and them, and Stefan, went to rebirth, and we felt some kind of way because we was friends, and but it was more than that. It was more that the fact that it was an important time of what was going on in Yisrael, in that the enemy was trying to use Stefan and Brit as pawns to to gather more people and all this other stuff. So, but praise Yahuah for the redemption, the power of Yahusha HaMashiach to go find the 99, to leave the 99 and go find that one, right? So they, he went to go find, Stefan and Brit and Yonah. And man, that was amazing, just experience, to reconnect with them and to do the 3-part series. If you haven't checked it out yet, you can check it out on Brit Yah's page, as far as their testimony. So that was amazing. It was a lot of things that happened that I didn't share. People calling from Georgia. You know what I'm saying? That done seen the video. That's in the neighborhood. You know what I'm saying? Like it was just a lot. You know what I'm saying? So that happened. That happened April 2024. Right? The exposing the cult of rebirth. Right? And Yahuah still got some things in store for them. That's bad. You know what I'm saying? That's bad, yo. It's not over. It's definitely not over. So, all right, so that happens, right? And then, so my son is born April 30th, right? So that's 2024. And me and my wife, we didn't even know because we don't really mess with the hospital, right? We don't really mess with the hospital. So the thing about that is, because we don't mess with the hospital, all of my sons was born at home, right? So, because my wife, she looked into the mortality, rate of black women, and we saw that, they not taking care of black women. You come in there, oh man, this hurt. They don't care. They like, man, whatever, man. You came to us, so they doing whatever they want to do, right? So that was the thing. Both our sons were born at home. So my son Yarick was born in a home birth, and we was actually thinking we had a doula, but we were thinking that it was going to be a girl, right? So, it come on, man, so boy, we like, oh man, wow, you know what I'm saying? Because Yahuah had been showing us it was, he's going to send a girl, man. So we was like, oh, this is a girl right here. This is going to be her right here. And it was another boy. So we was like, wow, okay. You know what I'm saying? So that happens, right? And then so they kind of caught off guard by being a boy, but that happens. And so now we're thinking about, okay, well, how, we got to get them circumcised, you know what I'm saying? And so we're in Southern California. You can imagine it's a huge Jewish community out here. We ain't gonna get into all that, but we don't feel comfortable going to Jews for nothing unless Yahuah has authorized it. And so that was the thing. And then we had found a few years back, we had found actually a black physician that does circumcision, over there in Culver City. So if you need a reference, and if you in California, let me know. So we couldn't go back to him because his prices has changed, and it was just taking longer because it's not an insurance thing, it's a cash option type of thing, and so money was tight. We just had a baby, you know what I'm saying, like, but what started to happen is I was really just praying about it, like, Yahuah, like what are we to do? Because in my experience, in my walk with Yahusha, is like he just never leave you hanging. You know what I'm saying? Like he's never left me hanging. Always provided, you know what I'm saying? Always, looked out. Now, of course, in my mind, I could think I should have got certain things that I, should get at a certain time, you know what I'm saying? But Yahuah's always been faithful, looked out for me, man, and just the favor Yahuah's been on my life. And so at that particular time, it wasn't really no doors open as far as financial, situations. And so I was just really just praying to Yahuah, man. And, it was coming to me about circumcising my son. And I was just like, man, like, this is like, what are you trying to say? Like, why you, you know what I'm saying? It's like, what, how you in the classroom and the teacher pick you like me? You know what I'm saying? You look at you try to look behind you. You sure you point your finger at me? Right? So I'm like, what is going on, right? And then it was very clear, up into in June that, Yahuah was like, no, like, nah, I ordain this. Like, yo, just, I'm not gonna get into the confirmations of it, but it was very clear that Yahuah was speaking to me that I want you to circumcise your son. So, I had went through, they had some trainings, online. I had got the equipment, like the circumcision, kit, medical grade, numbing cream, all that stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? So, and, my wife was in belief about it. And so it was like, man, we about to circumcise our son, man. This is wild. You know what I'm saying? Like, this is wild. You know what I'm saying? Like, this is wild in the sense of, like, I never thought Yahuah would call me to do. I mean, I know it say in the scripture, it say, circumcise your sons, but you never thinking like, nah, I'm not gonna actually do it though. You know what I'm saying? But it was, man, Yahuah had something prepared, something terrible, but something great at the same time, right? All right, so June comes, the end of June comes. I'm trying to get these dates. It's the end of June. It's June 20th something, right? So it comes the day where we about to circumcise our son, right? So we circumcise him, right? And we noticed that he had like an adhesion. He had like a layer on his after the circumcision. It was like a layer that was still there, that was underneath there, that was like what they call an adhesion, or they call like I think it's called like phimosis, but it's like they call an adhesion. It can sometimes happen in like babies where a thin part of the skin still remain after the circumcision underneath. So that was there, and it was causing the adhesions was causing some bleeding. And so, we monitored it. It was not bleeding for a while, and then it started back when we put the diaper on and stuff like that. So we immediately was like, yo, even though we're not hospital people, we got to go, make sure our son's good. You know what I'm saying? Get this straight. So we went to the ER, and praise Yahuah, they was able to immediately stop the bleeding, and so we was like, man, okay, man, hallelujah, man, like, just hallelujah. So so that's when the drama begins, right? Because at the time, you're not thinking like, you don't cycle through the fact that, okay, you going into the wolves. I mean, you going into the because you got to remember, and like most parents out there, we talking about medical kidnapping, we talk about all this. Most parents are kind of naive when it comes, just like I was, right? When it comes to the hospital, like we hear things, but until you actually experience and see the racism, the bias, all this other stuff, like you really don't know the depths of wickedness that you're entering into. So, I call it the wolf in a white coat, right? So that's something I'm working on. But look, so yeah, my son is circumcised. He got the adhesion on there. So we go to the ER, right? So we go to the ER, and everything good. Now, the first thing, I'm going to tell parents right now, because I'm going to be giving you some commentary to parents if you listening to this, because we talking about, hey, this podcast talking about guard the house, right? So if you a parent on there, if you a parent on here, be very aware and careful about going to the ER. Now, of course, there's some things that happen, this and that, but I want to, you better pray and do some preventative measures about, children getting hurt, this and that, about going to the ER, because it is a trafficking center, right? Especially children under 5. And then we're going to get into this. So we go in there, right? And the first line of when things is going wrong, we don't really catch it because you don't know. You don't know. They say, okay, yeah, man, we just want to connect y'all to the urologist. We gonna transfer y'all to this hospital. And the hospital is called Loma Linda, right? And so I'm a name drop on here because I don't really care in Yahusha Shem. We done came at them. They denied it and they say, oh well, whatever. But Loma Linda, right? So Loma Linda is supposed to be this Christian 7-day Adventist hospital, and they got these. I mean, even if you look at Loma Linda's symbol, like you can just see the evilness in the symbol. You know what I'm saying? If you got eyes to see, you can see the Baphomet and all that stuff inside the symbol. We don't know. It was said we don't know this. Children's Hospital, they got this the best children's hospital in Southern California, or top 5 or whatever they say, right? So they said we're gonna transfer you to Loma Linda. You know, your son got to ride in the ambulance and y'all could ride behind. So that's kind of, I was kind of already uneasy right there. Like, what? Like, okay. So I know at this point you may be saying, well, you circumcised your son, you know that's not da-da-da. You can go many different ways. And I've had conversations and, people try to say this and say that. But what you are getting into, right? You're getting into justifying the situation according to your judgment. But we're going to get into other parents because we're going to get into the other side of what's actually happening, right? Because some parents just said, man, I just want to give my son a check. And they're like, okay, it goes into a whole different scenario. But we're going to get into that. So they transfer us to Loma Linda Hospital, right? So we go to Loma Linda Hospital. We immediately met with a social worker. It's like, I don't know. It's not a white lady. She kind of like maybe Hispanic social worker. And she's asking us all these different questions, right? And it's like very, very, trying to sound procedural, you know what I'm saying? But it's very accusatory. She's saying things like, oh, you're living with your parents, or y'all trying to move out the country, our son was crying, and she was like, yo, he always cry like that. We was like, what? You know what I'm saying? It was a basic cry. And she was just like overreacting and just saying stuff and was like, yeah, I think this is a case of neglect and all this other stuff, right? So we talked to the urologist. I explained, the circumcision, how I went about it, everything about it. He was like, okay, this is consistent with what I see. Yeah, he got this adhesion thing, but he all good. He not gonna be jammed up. His everything about his situation is not gonna be jammed up. We just gotta wait a little bit to schedule something in the future to come back and just get that layer off there and clean that up. So we like, man, hallelujah, man, everything, it's gonna work out. So, and he's like, man, to the point, your urologist was like, yo, I mean, really, y'all can be discharged right now because I ain't really got no more to do with this. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's a wrap. So we was like, cool, you know what I'm saying? Like, he was like, yeah, just take this prescription for 7 days and he should be good. We'll schedule the other joint. But the social worker was already in the thing. She was talking us. She was like, oh yeah, this is going to be a case of neglect, because it's like, now what we didn't know is certain hospitals have contracts with child protective services, right? They have certain contracts with them. So if you're entering this, especially if you are brown, especially if you're a Hebrew, right? Because what I'm about to share with you is like, how you read, you about Herod and you read about Pharaoh and they just like, oh yeah, get the boys, or get them, they under 2, whatever. However, what metrics they got, this is what's happening right now in the hospital system. And this is what we're talking about. This is what, one of the reasons Yahuah brought us in here is to sound the alarm about what is happening in these systems. And they are coming after the children to sell them, to destroy them, to traumatize them, to traumatize the parents. So we don't get into it. But so what happens, right? So social worker involved. Oh, yeah. This is a case of neglect. All this jazz, right? And asking us all these questions. We talking, right? We talking, another thing, which we could talk. We can have a whole episode about what not to do. You know what I'm saying? Because we did everything you're supposed to not do, right? Because you don't know. You a parent, you concerned. You thinking that, hey, I'm just going to tell the truth and everything is going to work out in a sense of how I think it's going to work out. So we just sharing, this how we went, da-da-da-da-da. And everything is a flag, right? We didn't get vaccines. It's a flag, right? It's, we did a home birth. It's a flag. Oh, did you have a doula? Did you have a certified midwife? Did you have this? So everything is a flag to people that are looking for flags, right? Like, so now we in the lion's den. We in the snake pit. You know what I'm saying? We in the pressure cooker, right? They just throw us in there, right? So we in that joint. So now this is June. This is because the circumcision was on a Sunday. Was it Friday? Let me see. Might have been a Sunday, and so all this start popping off that Sunday night. So when we get there, they talking about, so anytime, let's back up. So anytime they talking about transfer, because he was good, right? And anytime they talking about transfer and the child is good, they setting you up. Just know that. If they talking about transfer, because you have the right as a parent to decline the transfer. You could say, I like to decline the transfer. Now, if you say you want to decline a transfer, usually sometimes they can give you a form to say, okay, if something happened, if you leave here, if anything happened, we're not liable. Now, you can sign that form, or you don't have to sign that form. You have the right to leave if they try to. But now, if they try to say it's life-threatening, they're going to try to play some games with you. So that's where it get tricky. But you can deny a transfer and ask to sign the waiver or not sign the waiver. Because if you feel like, now I think on the waiver, it may not talk about legal implications or civil stuff type of stuff. Because I don't know, I actually haven't seen it, but I know we're gonna talk. We had some good friends that signed the waiver and went through that process. But you got to check that out for yourself. But so all right. So the transfer. So now we transferred to this demonic hospital. I don't care if they say it's Christian. It's evil. It's evil. You in Southern California, don't never go to Loma Linda. Don't never go to Loma Linda. Because it's so wild. I'm gonna jump ahead. And I was talking to this dad, and he didn't even know my story. And his son confessed about something that happened at Loma Linda with their child. And then his father proceeded to say, he said, yeah, man, do not go to Loma Linda. Loma Linda has a contract with CPS. Then the person that was part of the dad group, he used to actually work for Child Protective Services, and he said, if you black, do not go to Loma Linda. And your hospital, wherever you listening to this here, you might not have a Loma, particularly Loma Linda, because it's a university, but you may have a children's hospital there, and oftentimes these children's hospitals are all the same. They're all the same. So back to the story, right? So we transferred, and social worker talking about all this stuff. Yahuah just say, y'all good, right? So we thinking, okay, we about to get up out of here, man. Okay, but it's just an eerie feeling, like, because they're not telling you that what just happened. What happened was when we went to the ER, the doctor there, push a button in his computer, and now you know, their whole thing is now to get possession of the child. So now that's why they said, oh, let us put him in the ambulance, right? Because now they wanna make a transfer, right? Because they're already moving towards their agenda. So, because he ain't in no life threatening situation. Like I said, he was like, oh no, he's good, but that's part of their situation. And a lot of these people, these doctors, are mandatory reporters. So if you don't know what a mandatory reporter is, that's like teachers. There's some other people in society that are mandatory reporters. And this kind of foreshadows and reminds me of Matthew, the book of Matthew. Yeah, I'm going biblical on this right here because it reminds me of how people can deliver other people up. And I can see in Yahusha Shem how that can be a thing. I mean, it's a thing now, but how it will also be a thing in the future where they'll be trying to deliver you up to get you killed, right? Off some false testimony. And that's kind of what happened in our situation. So mandatory reporter at the hospital, the doctor, the ER doctor there must have pushed something in the computer. So now, guess what? So now they alert the hospital and the system. So now he told us that they be lying to, right? He told us we was just gonna see the urologist. But what they really about to do is what they call a NAT, right? A non-accidental trauma workup. And what they are about to do with this is they are about to so we working on some stuff. Yahuah's help us working on a book, working on some projects, some film projects that is going to be getting into this because it's going to be a continual thing. Because the issue with these mandatory reporters is they have so much false power to just say stuff, to alert stuff, to have suspicion. It's like when police try to use that, reasonable suspicion, but that sounds good in court, or that sounds good, but reasonable suspicion could be linked to their bias. It could be like, well, I feel like you abuse, or I feel like you do this because you move like this, or whatever, however they try to narratize it, put the narrative together about it. But the fact of the matter is, this mandatory reporter alerted Loma Linda, and Loma Linda is about to do this NAT workup. All we know is, it's just what they saying it is, right? So we talked to the social worker. And then they're like, okay, we about to do a test, right? And the workups. So we go to the room, they doing this workup. They do like an X-ray, they do like a CAT scan, they do like, blood work, they do all this other stuff, right? So the object of the NAT, non-accidental trauma, what that means is, it was inflicted on purpose. So they're looking for any signs that they could say that you abused your child. NAT. That's what it is. And that's how the system works. Once again, they want to get the child out of your hands, right? Because here's the thing. How the system works is by consent. Not just in the physical, but also in the spiritual. Sometimes people don't know that consent is a big thing when it comes to spiritual warfare. Consent, right? And a lot of parents unknowingly have consented to things that they don't know they consented to. And sometimes we get into situations where we consent to things. And so when we consented to allowing the transfer to happen, this set in motion a whole a series of things, which, like I said, it was all Yahuah's, Yahuah designed this trial, this fiery trial, right? at the time we like, man, we just, we get to the social worker. We still cool right now. We still like, okay, yeah, we're just gonna blow over. You know what I'm saying? We're gonna get out of here. Yeah, they're gonna run the test. Because we, as a parent, you like, man, I want to make sure he good. Like, but we already know. But it's getting weird though, because we was just here for the adhesion that he had from the circumcision, right? And the thing about it was, because in the state of California, to circumcise your child is not illegal. It's not illegal, right? Because you don't have to be certified, because you have mohilas that are not certified urologists who circumcise their children. So you don't have to be certified. Now, of course, if you talk to a medical professional, they'll say, no, you have to do it like this, or you have to be like this, or they'll have some standards, but there hasn't been anything that is like, everything in that space is kind of like case law, right? It's not like ABC, right? And there's actually a city law and a state law that says, that the government shall not restrict a parent to have their son or their son circumcised. So we in here, right? We in here. We're about to go to the pressure cooker. Right? You know what I'm saying? So they telling us like, okay, he did this X-ray. So they do the X-ray. They're like, oh yeah, man. So it was something kind of like, that was down there. We couldn't really find out. We're gonna do a second X-ray. So we're like, oh, what are they talking about? You know what I'm saying? So they do the second X-ray, and they come up and they come. And now here's the wild part. They don't even, like I said, I had a certain impression about hospitals, how they move. I thought they show you stuff, right? Like they bring you the papers, put your chart up on the thing, you know what I'm saying? Like you can look through the stuff, it's transparency. Nah, right? They just telling you what they said they saying. So they do this workup, and the first thing they come back, they say, oh, everything's clear, it's CAT scan, this, that, everything's clear. But we ran this X-ray, and on the X-ray, it looks like the corner of his femur is broken. We're like, what? Yeah, the corner of his femur is broken in what they call a corner metaphyseal bucket fracture. And we like, what? You know what I'm saying? Like, she like, yeah. This pediatrician, like, and the pediatrician, I'm outing these people, right? Pediatrician is, foreign lady. When I say foreign, I mean like, Pakistan type of person. I'm not coming at no race, because I'm not sure she was Pakistani, but what I'm saying is that type of person. So when they do this NAT, they have a child abuse pediatrician. They call them CAPs. So this CAP person is another foreign person, right? And we checked her license and everything. She just got her stuff from like somewhere like Pakistan, or something like that. So it's like, it's weird. It's like, I don't know. We're gonna dive into that too, not on this episode, but they hiring a lot of foreign people to do some dirty work that the hospitals is. Because this person was fairly new in her licensing, came all the way from Pakistan to be at this job, to all of a sudden be an expert about child abuse. So they come in and, we get them to the room after the thing. This is kind of a little bit before the X-ray thing. They taking pictures. He a newborn. He 2 months at the time. Cause remember, he was born in April. We put gloves on his hand because he scratches his face sometimes. He got little little nicks or scratches on his face from his gloves. They taking pictures. They're like, oh, what's this? His skin coloration and how they write stuff. This is why I tell you that it's not just Loma Linda, but the whole hospital system. I'm not saying everybody in the hospital system is demonic, but the system itself has a heavy demonic spirit on it, because even how they write stuff on paper. When I read the report of how they started charting stuff, it was like he had the discoloration on his skin that is consistent with irritation or somewhere trying to. It was saying, bro, that is just a rash, bro. You know what I'm saying? Like it was just like they charge it up. Oh, he got a mark. You know, seems like between his thighs there is a slight discoloration, which could be linked to traumatic rubbing of his legs in a violent motion. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm being funny, but that's how they move. That's how they was writing their report. And so they came back with this whole fracture thing, right? Saying, oh yeah, his stuff is fractured and this and that. And we first of all, the first reaction is like you just like, what? Like, what are you, hold on. I'm trying, like, for a good, cool second, you trying to figure out what they actually saying. You're like, what are you saying? Then here it comes. Then she talking about this type of injury is by violent, traumatic means. And we say, come on, man. Like, ain't nobody, this child ain't been abused, bro. What are you talking about? So this type of injury only happens by hyperextension. I'm like, hyperextension? What hyperextension? You know, and like I said, as a parent, you like, I mean, he be kicking his legs and stuff. You know, maybe he be kicking his legs, you know, like, cause he be, you know, you trying to bridge the gap. Like, maybe he kicked his leg out too hard or something. She's like, nah. Like, she's like, nah, this happens by hyperextension. I said, well, so what do you mean by hyperextension? She's like, okay, this is the pediatrician. When you take his leg and move it and make it go the other way. I said, ma'am. Like, it was comical. It was like, ma'am, what are you talking about? No, that ain't happened. Were you sure he hasn't? I said, ma'am, he 2 months. Where he go? Me and my wife, we ain't got babysitters, right? Ain't nobody twisted his leg. Ain't nobody snapped his leg. Ain't nobody did none of that. Well, this is definitely, you know, they keep going back to it because what they start doing is, here's the thing. Once they put the lie on paper, they keep recycling. So now, once they start lying now, guess what? Now CPS getting involved, law enforcement getting involved. So now we got to deal with law enforcement and we got to deal with CPS. I'll deal. So that's how the week start off. The week start off once that X-ray came back and they were saying, oh, this is a fracture. Then they started doing all these other tests, man. And I tell you, woo, man, it was tough, man, because, you know, the urologist had told us, he said, man, you know what? We're gonna wait about 6 months to clean up that adhesion and come back and do that because we don't want to put him under anesthesia. And this is how wicked the hospital. Whoo, I'm telling you, bro. If it was a different type of time, you know what I'm saying? You know how you had them biblical days where you can ride on people and just eliminate some people. It would be happening, man, because that wickedness in which they are doing is just so. Because remember, in the Torah, when you bear false witness, whatever you thought to do will be done to you, right? So yeah, so they're like, oh man, yeah. So yeah, the fracture, man. You fractured, you know. Well, maybe when y'all did the circumcision, you know, you held his leg down too much and it broke. And because number one, like I said, the whole time they telling us, we ain't got no pictures. We ain't seen nothing. All they doing is telling us. So we like, man, how can we get access to the information that y'all saying all this other stuff? They said, oh, well, you got to sign up for this My Chart. So we got to sign up. We got to call these numbers. We got to call. They don't need help you. You know what I'm saying? You got to call all this stuff to even get access to the information that they telling you. That all they doing is telling you what they see. So we looking at the chart. We trying to understand the numbers. They ain't even telling you nothing. They just telling you what they want you to hear. So I know I skipped some parts, but I'm gonna come back. So I'm looking at this pediatrician. Number one, the pediatrician, she never looked me in my eyes the whole time. She never looked me in my eyes. So, so back to the other part, right? So back to the part about, the urologist was telling us he don't recommend putting him in anesthesia under 6 months because, he went over the metrics of it. He said, man, it ain't really safe. So when we get upstairs, they want to do the CT scan, and they talking about, oh man, we got to put him under anesthesia. And we like, nah, like, dude just downstairs, he just said don't do it because he didn't even want to do the thing. They was like, nah, well, that's just him, but it just got to happen. So they pressuring you, and then they on the flip side like, well, you can't leave because you under investigation. So if you leave, the police gonna get involved. Whoop, whoop, whoop. So they trying to corner us, right? And we feeling like, man, this is diabolical, man. We just talked to the dude downstairs and said don't do it. Then we come up here and you saying don't do it. You got all the doctors circling around us. Oh man, yeah, we're gonna call the anesthesiologist. So here's the man, bro. This pissed me off, bro. This pissed me off right here, bro. So we let them, put our son in anesthesia, and then our son, we get him back. We bring him back. He having trouble. My wife called because only one person can stay in the hospital at night. My wife called me. Hey man, he breathing funny, man. What's going on? Like, what's going on? Yeah, he's wheezing. I gotta watch my monitor because I'm very, because anesthesia. Come to find out, we looked at the chart, man. His lungs collapsed. They didn't even tell us, bro. They didn't even tell us. And the dude done boy, you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm telling you, bro. I'm telling you, man. Like, so I'm looking at this pediatrician. I'm gonna fast forward. So I'm looking at this pediatrician. She telling us, yeah, that's how it happened. It's definitely a break, right? And I said, ma'am, it didn't happen. Oh, well, I said, ma'am, I'm trying not to get hype on her, right? I said, what else could it be? She said, I don't know, you know what I'm saying? I said, what else could it be? You know all this other stuff. So she get out her phone. She about to go on Google, bro. She about to go type in the computer about what else could it be. And I'm looking at her like, you so confident about this being this, but then when I press you on it, you saying you don't know. You about to type on Google. This what a doctor is you telling me something? So my wife started researching. We praying to Yahuah, like, Yahuah, what is going on right now? Because this is crazy. This is crazy. We feel like, because it went from 0 to 60 very, very quick, right? Now we got CPS involved. So CPS come. This wicked black woman. I don't even want to say her name. Wicked black woman. Just evil, right? And it's almost like it's not funny, but it's like Yahuah in this trial. It's like Yahuah picked the worst. It's like he been watching them for years. Whoever he picked, because they're gonna be judged. But he picked the worst people, the people that was doing the most, whatever the worst they was doing. He is like, yeah, I'm gonna use you. You know what I'm saying? So he picked this lady, man, and she just, cause she coming off like personable, you know what I'm saying, trying to, but she black, she, which should have been a plus, right? She should have been like, man, I understand what's going on, this and that. I mean, y'all gonna be good, man, this and that. So, but she come in there trying to, like, we thinking she a friend. We about to talk. We about to get the story out, right? So you about to, which is another mess up, because you got to understand, you have a right to remain silent. Everything you say can and will be used against you. So that's how they come. And CPS is coming. They don't want to hear the truth. They want to hear you talk. They want to hear you talk more and more. So the more you talk, the more they can find an angle that they can spin, right? So I'm talking, right? My wife talking. We thinking that, man, we gonna straighten it out, right? Because by that time, they were trying to say something about the fracture. They were trying to say, alleged fracture, right? They were trying to say something about this alleged fracture. And so I'm talking, we get through the interview, and we're thinking, man, it's gonna be good, man. Everything's gonna be good, man, Then, we talk to the police. police like, yo, you good, man? Like, we just want to find out more because, circumcision ain't against the law. You can circumcise your son. We ain't got no problem with that. I told them about the alleged, because at the time they didn't know. I told them about that they was trying to falsely accuse us. And ain't like the police care or nothing, but they was like, oh, okay, whatever. So they get out of our hair, for a little bit till I'm getting these phone calls from the police, right? So yeah, you got that joint going, and then it's just, that's that. Like I said, it's the drama started on the Sunday, and so we going through the test. They taking these tests, man, and they got to look in his eye. They had to look at the retina of his eye. He was screaming. I mean, it's 2 months. He's going through this. He's going through a lot of trauma. He's going through hurt, and it's just it's making, it's hurting my wife. It's hurting, him, and we going through it, man. We just like Yahuah, like. I mean, you can imagine when all this started popping off, you question everything. You're like, man, did I hear from you? Like, this don't even make sense that I got myself in this drama. You know what I'm saying? Like, you blaming yourself. But you're going back over the story. You're like, nah, but this is what he showed, So you just going through that whole process. But as I got more into the process, I started to see like it felt like one of those Job things, and I'm not in no means you can connect your story to Job because Job went through what he went through. But it felt like when Yahuah has ordered something, when he's ordered a trial, it's like you can't stop it. It's like dominoes. It's like this. It's really like one bad thing after another. You know what I'm saying? That's good at what it felt like. It just kind of like in the Job story, it's like, oh, this happened. Then while he grieving on one thing happening, something else coming and happened. Hey man, this just happened too. Then as soon as they tell you that, dude lined up coming around the corner tell you some other stuff. You know what I'm saying? It's like, what in the world is going on? So that's kind of what we felt like was happening. We was like, yo, this is crazy, bro. Like, this can't be happening. And for a long time, I was just frozen, right? And so, because I'm going to take the story up to a certain point, and then I'm going to do part 2. So my wife started looking into this whole, because once we got access, like I said, they ain't giving you no information. All they doing is telling you what they saying. They saying that you violently twist. That's the narrative they got. The narrative they got for us is that you violently twisted his knee. They wouldn't even, they wouldn't even say circumcision. They would say surgery. They would say incision. They would use these words and it was very apparent that they wanted to nail us, and they had a beef with the circumcision. But they wanted to nail us, and they needed something else because the circumcision, for them, it's going to be hard to like say, oh, that's abuse because it's covered by the law. But they got to find something to pin us and say, you know what? Yeah, you abuse your child. So they got this little thing they saying is a fracture that they trying to use on us. But my wife, she started, Yahuah, leads her. Because I was like frozen for a minute. I was frozen. I was reacting, but I was frozen because sometimes you think certain things can't happen to you, and then when they happen to you, you it's like you slipping. You know what I'm saying? The ground moving, and you can't just get your balance, right? So, but my wife, she was moved to look up some stuff, to research some stuff, and she came across this case. Because we don't know nothing, bro. We don't know this happened to parents. We don't know nothing about medical kidnapping. We don't know. We just thinking this is the craziest thing in the world that's happening to us. We being falsely accused that we abused our son and did all this wild stuff y'all trying to say based on what y'all saying. So she find this case, and it's an X-ray because we finally got access to the charts. We look at the charts, and we looking at the charts like yo, this ain't even making sense what y'all saying. Cause number one, what y'all saying, number one, she told me to my face that I hyperextended his knee and made the knee go the other way. But when I'm looking at the chart, I'm like, number one, that don't even make sense according to what y'all actually got in the chart. Cause we get the thing back, you know, when they did his examination, they said he ain't got no swelling in his knee, he ain't got no internal bleeding, ain't no bruises, ain't nothing going on, but it's this anomaly that's here that they calling a fracture that's on the corner of his femur. And even by their own standards, what they saying don't make sense. They telling you that you abuse your child, that you basically about dag near, you know, snapped his leg, and when you look at the chart, it ain't even there. But they telling you it's there. So it's like some MacGyver type of deception where they telling you what it is, but then when you look at it, it ain't there. But because everybody gonna listen to what they saying and don't really understand, and then when you try to interpret what they saying, they gonna say, oh, you're not a medical expert. That's what they try to hit us with. They try to say like, oh, you're not a medical expert. Basically, because you're not a doctor, you can't even see what this is on the chart. But I'm saying it don't make sense. That's where the confusion comes in, because it don't make sense what you saying that we did. It's not even here on there. Well, yeah, they just act like they done, right? So my wife found this chart, and it's almost identical. It's almost identical. It's a child's, you know, femur, and it's the same type of situation. And guess what? It ain't even a fracture. It's some kind of bone abnormality happening to, you know, children when they are, you know, when they young, their bones are still coming together, and they if they got vitamin D issues or whatever, you know, their bones is still, you know, cartilage is going on, and they're forming together because he's 2 months, right? And they misread the radiograph, which basically was a misdiagnosis, and so now they're calling this anomaly to be a fracture. And my wife find this, and so we kind of try to bring it up, but they dismiss it. Oh no, this is definitely this. So now what changes the game, and this is why it's just like a Twilight Zone. So the CPS is pressing us. First, the CPS is like, yo, we need a safety plan. We like a safety plan. We like, number one, I'm not even trusting CPS because I already, you know, I've heard about CPS, right? CFS or whatever they call it. And they're like, always, we trying to stall, we trying to move around. Then I'm in the room one day, right? Because we was there a whole week. We was there from Sunday in June to June like 27th or something like that. So I'm in there. I'm in the room, and it's amazing how Yahuah like have you in certain positions at certain times because you know what's going to go through. So I'm in the room. They don't even know I'm certain moving a certain space, and I kind of overhear them talking about, oh, it could be congenital. Right? I hear that talk about it could be congenital. And if you don't know what congenital is whatever this thing that we're looking at in the chart could be something that the child was born with, or something that is genetic, or something that it is not dealing with trauma. But their first conclusion was that you did this violent thing, which didn't even make sense. Right? It was crazy. It's a lie. So I hear this thing, and not just that I heard it, the CPS worker came and said, they don't know what it is. They saying it could be this or it could be that. Hold on, time out. She's been telling us it's only one thing. She never gave us no differential diagnosis to say, well, hey, it could be this. We never got a chance to do no second opinion. Nothing. It was you violently twisted his knee. Violent means. So So they do all these tests, and they keep lying to us, right? They tell us only one more test, but then it's two more tests. It's another test. It's another test. Oh no, this is the last one. Then it's another one. It's another one. Well, we think we were thinking, okay, they were going to do another test to confirm, that this wasn't a fracture. They never did that test, right? So we getting a runaround. We just getting upset. So it all comes to a boiling point on that I think it was a Thursday, like June 27th, something like that, around there, where the CPS is like pressing us, right, trying to get this safety plan, and then what happens is they about to discharge us. So we there from Sunday night to about Thursday. They about to discharge us on Thursday. So they hand us these discharge papers, right? Now, I just found out about that the doctor is now saying it could be something from birth. Now, this is after we brought up some stuff, after we kind of like, nah, we not going with that. You know what I'm saying? Now she's saying this, it could be this, right? But they say they playing games with you. So they try to discharge us, hand these papers. I look at the papers. It said the treatment, and all the diagnosis or whatever it was, it is a corner metaphyseal fracture, right? That's what he's being treated for. And I'm like, hold on. Why is it saying it's a fracture? I said, because number one, I didn't believe, after my wife found that stuff, I was like, because, as a parent, you think, well, maybe, dang, man, maybe he fell sometime. I didn't even see it or something, you know what I'm saying? Maybe something happened crazy and I didn't even know. And then they trying to get in your head, you know what I'm saying? And then you're like, hold on. I done seen this dude all the time. Ain't nothing happened like that. Not even to my knowledge. We done been with him. Ain't nothing happened with that. So I'm like, so they discharged us. They got this stuff on this paper. And I'm like, hold on, this ain't correct. Cause after we found out that she said that thing about the congenital thing, I don't think we talked to her again, because that was like a Wednesday or something. We ain't talked to her. So when they give us these discharge papers, I'm thinking maybe they're going to put it in there, and they hand, oh yeah, everything's good. I try to make it like we was good. Y'all good to go home. That's the good thing, because, maybe CPS, because they like, sometimes they trying to put it like, okay, well, if CPS really want to get your children, they would have got them at the hospital. But we like, man, y'all done lied and trying to send us home, and we ain't got no paper. We getting paperwork that's saying yo lie on it. I said, no, y'all got to fix this, bro. So they're like, no, it's nothing we could do because the radiologist done said. I said, no, y'all wrote it on the paper, so y'all got the ability. Y'all got the same computer. You know what I'm saying? I'm saying like old school, like y'all got the same computer that printed this stuff up. All y'all gotta do is go back and type it in. Well, we print, that. I said, man, I ain't trying to hear it. Go get the pediatrician. So the resident go get the pediatrician. And it's like a Thursday, so she's about to escape. She's like, oh, well, we don't know where she. I said, well, I'm gonna wait. I can wait all day. You know what I'm saying? She's still here. I'm gonna wait. So they call her. She nervous because remember, she ain't looked me in my eyes the whole time. She ain't looked me in my face. She looked me in my face and look over there, look at my wife, and just accusing me already. So I'm like, hey, what's this right here that you saying that this is a fracture and all this stuff? Yeah, the radiologist. I said, ma'am, like, are we gonna do this? Oh, what do you mean? Nah, nah, nah. I said, ma'am, I know that you said that it could be congenital because I heard you, number one, and the CPS worker came and told us that you said that. So why did you put that? Why is this on this paper and not that? Well, this is based off the ready. I said, look, ma'am, you playing games. You playing games with us. Is this what y'all do? And I started, man, I was going in. And the resident lady, she was tearing up. She was about to tear up. She was looking like she about to tear up. And I'm like, man, this is what y'all be doing to families? Because they got a whole wing in that hospital, which I believe is for these false accusations where they just bring whatever children they can get, they bring them in there and just start falsely accusing them or whatever, and, make all this stuff up. Because they can make a lot of stuff up. So I'm like, man, I'm about to come at you. I'm going to make sure you lose your job. I'm going to just make sure, like, that is bad for you, and I come for you. And this is what she said to me, y'all. She said, well, what do you want me to do? I said, well, I'm offended. Because now when I called your job into question, now all of a sudden you want to comply with me. You know what I'm saying? And she's saying, like, what do you want me to do? I said, well, go change this paper. And she thought about it for a minute. Now I didn't ask for this paper to be changed 3 or 4 times. First it was the radiologist wrote it. First it was this. First it was that. It was all these excuses and all these lies. But when I put your job into question, now you saying, oh, you pausing. Then she said, I'll be right back. So she leave. She come back. She got the paper. I don't even know if she actually handed me back or I got it from another person, however it happened. But I got the new discharge papers. It was a little better. She didn't put the whole truth in there, but she said, it could be this, it could be the fracture, or it could be something that is natural or something from birth, you know what I'm saying, like that, right? So I'm like, okay, well, this is at least good enough. You know, maybe this is good enough, right? So at the same time, remember, CPS don't got no information. The CPS worker called us that morning and said, have they found out if it is a fracture? That was a Thursday. Have they found out, is it a fracture or not? And if it is a fracture, when did it happen? She's like, she said, we don't know what's going on. We just thinking like, we just got to get her the information because we can get her off our top. But she plotting on us too, right? She acting like a friend, but she plotting on us. So she asked us that Thursday morning. That Thursday afternoon, we discharged, and she texting us like, yo, y'all discharged or whatever. So we text her, and then in the evening, we saying, you know, I told her I didn't feel comfortable because it's a lot of trickery. Because now the hospital saying you did this violent thing, and then now they saying, oh, it can be congenital. It's a bunch of confusion, and they putting stuff on paper. They know how to really. They very snakish. The hospital, they very snakish on how they word stuff because they'll say concerning for. Basically, what they'll do is they'll say they'll give their definite opinion. You hear what I said? They'll give their definite opinion. But if something goes wrong, they'll just say it's just an opinion, right? You know what I'm saying? Like, so then you try to come at them and be like, they be like, oh no, that's just my opinion. We didn't say it was. We said it was concerning for. Like they're telling you all this language about what they believe it to be, and that's what it's like. Well, we think you have cancer, right? Like this is concerning for cancer, right? But you could move and based off you thinking you have cancer. But if you came and said, well, I actually didn't have cancer and I did all this other stuff, they could be like, well, we didn't actually say you had cancer. We said that you could have cancer. You know what I'm saying? Like this is how they play, right? So I tell my wife, I said, look, I don't trust them. She texts the phone, CPS worker takes the phone. I said, look, go ahead and text her that we're gonna have to consult with our lawyer. Because I had a little thing, you know, where you can get in contact with lawyers and stuff. I said, well, we're gonna contact a lawyer and get some information. Because we don't know what's going on. We're about to try to lawyer up, right? So we text her that. She don't say nothing. She don't say, okay, cool, this, that. She don't say nothing. That's that night. So I'm thinking like, Yahuah putting in my heart like, man, this ain't cool, man. I don't know what's going on, but something bad about to happen, right? It's what it is. I just got that feeling. So June, I believe it's 28th happens. It's 28th. I think it's June 28th. Let me get the right date for you. Yeah, June 28th. It's June 28th. No, June. Yeah. Yeah, June 28th. It's June 28th morning. We get a knock at the door. We staying with our parents. We get a knock on the door, and it is the sheriff. It is that same wicked social worker with another social worker, and they are saying they have a warrant for our children. Yeah, so it's nothing really that can prepare you for that moment. Yeah, it's nothing that prepares you for that moment. You know, because it's like, you know, it's devastating because they lied. You know, they you know, I'm getting a warrant. I'm getting a warrant. I'm saying how you got a warrant? Like, it's not a fracture. Like, we just got the discharge papers. And she's like, no, it's definitely a fracture. You know, because of the fracture and because of the incision. She don't say circumcision. She said because of the incision. We like, what? Like, sheriff like, yo, the children here. We like, you know, I'm tripping. You know, I'm trying to like gather my thoughts, and you know, the parents is there, and you know, we gotta pack bags. You know, we gotta pack bags, and we gotta, you know, my son, my newborn, he's breastfed. She telling him, I mean, she telling, you know, the officer. It was a female officer telling the officer stuff, then telling us, well, if he's breastfed, you can drop some milk off at the facility. Then they're like, do you got somewhere they can be placed where you got family or something? And we scrambling trying to figure out, you know, I don't got no family in California. You know, her parents have family, so we was trying to get coordinated with that. And yeah, it was man, it was a tough day. It was a tough day. And so that day is happening. I'm packing this bag, and I'm just like, and remember what they did is they bear false witness on us for our newborn, you know, 2-month-old. So also gets the cars. The car is 2 years at 2 years at this time. So he's talking. He's able to move, and you know, as a father, I'm having to. I'm having to explain, you know, the situation. You know, I'm having to explain that he has to go with these people. You know, and you know, praise Yahuah that, you know, Yahuah gave me just boldness in that time to say, you know, these people are gonna pay. These wicked people are gonna pay for what they're doing and kidnapping children. And I told him that as I strapped him in the car, and he didn't know what was going on, and you know, and saw him drive off, you know, down the street with our children. And yeah, it was very, It was hurtful. It was definitely hurtful, man, because one of the things that I learned in this, I guess, because this gonna be part one, because I can't go to the part two. I can't go to the other stuff right now. Is one thing I learned in this trial is that, going back to Job, when things start happening where Yahuah has, said, have you considered him? Right? Have you considered him? He's saying that to the devil. And the devil comes to your house, and that hedge of protection that you had is now down. And of course, Yahuah and his bond, they have a decree of like how far the devil can go. But it's trying. It's trying, man, because it started. I mean, it tries every bone, every faith muscle, everything, and though you can sit here and, as people have done over our trial, point finger and say, look, see, you got yourself in, whatever you want to say. But when that day comes for you, man, I pray that you can overcome by the blood of the Lamb and the word of the testimony, because, these type of tests will come upon people. So that's when the test began, and I was scrambling, I was frozen, I was angry, I was mad, I was hurt, I was sad, and trying to figure out as a father, what do I tell my wife, because she had faith for us to circumcise our son, and and then this is happening, and we like, well, how can Yahuah let this happen to us? You know what I'm saying? Like, I thought we was, like cool with him. You know what I'm saying? I thought we was good. I thought we was on good terms, right? And that's when it starts to come out as well, which I'm gonna talk about, is what Job experienced, is that, Yahuah brings trials to us to strengthen us, to expose things, for us to grow, and for us to have a clear picture of what he desires us to do and be, And sometimes we can base what he's doing off of our movements to say, well, I've done this, why would you do this? I didn't do nothing crazy. I didn't hurt these people. I ain't did this. Why would this happen to me? And even though that sounds good in some people's ears, it's self-justification. And so that started to happen for us immediately, I think for me was a delayed reaction. It started to build up over time, because you feeling like, no, I'm telling them the truth, they should listen, and you have all these reactions of how people should respond, and not really understanding that, it's wicked people in the world that ain't gonna care nothing about the truth. They don't care. They will kill you. They will take from you. They will steal. It ain't no reasoning with them. It ain't no bargaining. It ain't no nothing. They are straight up on what they own, and nothing gonna switch their mind up, right? Because sometimes we can have this naivety to think that nobody would do certain things to you, or when you don't know the depths of evil that exist in this world. And so this social worker, falsified her report to get the judge to sign an emergency warrant. Because remember, we was discharged that day, and we didn't text her back to that evening. So she had to get an emergency warrant. And because she went and committed perjury to say that it was a fracture, anytime there's broken bones or certain things involved, what happens is that they have a thing called immediate danger. So immediate danger spells to the CPS that the child is in the immediate danger and we must remove them out that circumstance. Because the child wasn't in immediate danger, right? Like, number one, there was no abuse. And number two, there was no threat of abuse. So to remove the children based upon a falsification of her, because she didn't get no new information. Remember, I got the discharge papers. She didn't get no information that it was she the one that called us. And so perjury is basically false witnessing. And so they false witness to get the judge to sign off. And so the judge signed off. And this is what's happening to parents. These people are bearing false witness. Matthew 24, right? Delivering people up. So, we're going to get to the story about us being delivering up and having to go to court and all this other stuff. But that's going to be it for me. You're listening to Guard the House podcast. Hope you enjoyed the episode. This is part 1 of CPS kidnap our children. But so we're gonna get more into it. But that was it. That was and I'll pick up, y'all willing, next time, talking about post our children being gone. How do we go through that part? And it's therapy for me because I've shared it. Like I wrote my story out. I wrote my story out, which is on my website, DennisYDelamar.com. But it's another thing that I was actually thinking this was going to be a video, but I'm just not at that place right now to do the video on it. Yahuah is kind of building me up to talk about it more and more, and to get to that place to really share the testimony about what's going on. But the lesson of the day is that, what's the lesson of the day? The lesson of the day is when we talk about guard the house. Guard the house, man, is to understand, if you're a parent, this is for parents, but you can apply this to different spaces. Understand that your enemy, the devil, walks around like a roaring lion, seeking those he can devour. Just like when you read that book of Job, when Shaitan comes to Yahuah Elohim, right? Yahuah asked him, where has he been? And he says he's been to and fro. And he's going to and fro to seek someone to devour. And so what you need to understand, man, what you need to understand, woman, what you need to understand, parents, is that the devil, don't think for a moment that you just got so much, I'm just so favored, I'm just so woo, that you think that something can't come to your door. Don't get in that space. And understand that, just like in the book of Hadassah or Esther, that don't think, because this thing happened to us, and don't think you will escape the things that are happening. Don't think I can just turn, even if you don't have children, or maybe you do have children. Don't think that if I don't guard and cultivate, if I just ignore what's going on, that it won't come to me. Like, I always give this parable to people, Yahusha Shem. It's like, if somebody is robbing people on our block, in our neighborhood, and they rob one house, they rob two houses, they rob three houses. When do you think they're going to stop? It's already a war. They're on your block, right? So if they own your block, it's a matter of time before they get to your house. And so what happens is people are saying, well, and if it ain't dealing with me, it ain't my problem, right? And yeah, I move like that. We moved like that before. That was our thought process. Yeah, we thought we was concerned about certain things, but you're not concerned to the point where you're gonna lay down your life. You're not that concerned. You're concerned that it just, as long as it don't bother me, I'm concerned. I'm concerned. But you ain't concerned like, no. We got to stop this. We got We got to ride on them. You see what I'm saying? In a righteous way. You know what I'm saying? So this is what that's what the lesson is. Is the lesson is that guard and cultivate what has been given to you, because you do not understand the depths of what is lurking. You do not understand the depths of what that pain is. You do not understand the depths of what that evil is. But but if you're in still possession of your family, your jewels, your mind, your will, your emotions, your gifts, your talents, allow it to be cultivated. Allow Yahuah and his son to teach you how to cultivate it, how to guard it. And that's one thing that we didn't get from our fathers. We didn't get from our parents, the aspect of learning how to guard something. Because number one, sometimes you don't see the value in it. And then you don't see the aspect of what it is when it's taken away. You don't, but you can find that out. You don't have to get it taken away to find out how precious it is. You don't have to get it taken away to find out what that pain is. But you do have to be open to desire to fully know what it is. You know what I'm saying? And Yahuah will show it to you in grace and in favor. But yeah, that's the lesson of the day. Guard the House podcast. CPS, kidnapped our children. But yeah, man, we out. Shalom.